Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Shawn Mackey Show. He's so unpredictable. Mother Nature calls him for advice. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Season number 2, episode number 25. The final episode of this season. For those of you who watch the video, you're going to see something a little bit different. For those of you on audio only, maybe you should check out the videos. You can catch those on YouTube at Shawn Mackey 96, SHAWNMACKEY 96 on YouTube. Something a whole bunch of bit different when you see the little shorts that I share on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or Twitter. I still call it Twitter, X, whatever it's called. Maybe you want to get away from that one. I don't know, but we got a little different view here. Next season, season 3, that begins in a couple of weeks, we are going to be focusing more on the video of the Shawn Mackey Show. Why? Because we can insert graphics. We can draw up plays during the football season. And we got a nice big spot here now right over our left shoulder that we can insert some of those graphics. We got a nice little backdrop. And I'm no longer just a giant freaking head that comes at you when you're watching the shorts on Facebook. Don't forget to check out the ShawnMackeyShow.com. There you'll catch the blog, the written word for the show, for those of you who maybe enjoy reading a little bit more than you do listening. But hey, check out the show on YouTube. That's where the focus is going to be for season 3. Season 3, as we focus on the Cubs season, we're going to be bringing you something new to the Shawn Mackey Show. We're going to have our first contributor. He's going to be a regular contributor throughout the year. We're going to be bringing that man on and introducing him. And he's a Cardinals fan. I'm a Cubs fan. Whoa, shit. This could get good. This could get real good. All right. Testing some new things out. You notice I don't have the headphones on and I got the lapel mic going. So let's get started. Super Bowl recap. First and foremost, I'm going to say Bad Bunny. What a great show about love, diversity, brought the entire Puerto Rican culture into a 13 to 15 minute performance at the halftime show. I don't normally watch the halftime show. I didn't care. But the thing is, a lot of my friends, the neighborhood I grew up in, Chicago, I got a lot of Puerto Rican friends. I love all my brothers. I love all my sisters. I don't understand Spanish that much. I understand enough. But man, it was dance music, right? And that's what I'm saying. I grew up going to the clubs with my friends, you know, house parties, any kind of party. You'd have that Latin music flowing, you know, and boy, that just brings out like a dance. And I know my buddy, Tommy, he's a big, you know, salsa dancer, he and his wife, and he tried to get me hooked up one night, you know, but I'm athletic and shit, and I think I can dance, but that salsa, woo! If you don't have the right shoes on, you know, you got to get something that gives you a little slip and a slide, right? Because if you get shit stuck to the floor, you can't get that dance going. So I love the show. Hey, I'll be completely honest. I had just come back from Vegas, seeing my grandson Max. Woohoo! Beautiful little baby, mama and baby, and son-in-law are doing well. It was my very first grandchild that I get to see. And so we were out there and we came back to the homestead, so to speak, and had been on about 2 hours of sleep by the time the Super Bowl rolled around, maybe even more, right? So I was like dead tired, and I apologize, Edgar. I know I begged off the Super Bowl party this year again, but I was on that couch doing whatever I could to keep these peepers open and try to get through the entire game. I saw just enough to realize two things. Drake May, as good as he is, he's still a second-year quarterback. He kind of struggled, made me think, I'm glad that wasn't Caleb Williams out there, because how hard would Chicago fans been on him if he would have had that kind of performance against that defense that Seattle has. I told a buddy of mine, as soon as after the 49ers beat the Bears in that shootout of a game, and then the 49ers went and lost to Seattle, and I got to see their defense play, I said, man, that's your Super Bowl winner right there. With that defense, if Sam Darnold can keep from turning the ball over and manage the game, they'd win the Super Bowl. I guess I was right. I don't know. You see what I'm saying? But it, field goal. 9-0 at some point. I'm thinking, man, Drake May's making some mistakes. Seattle's defense, but the other side of the ball, run. Walker, MVP. Control the clock. That's how you win football games. A quarterback who doesn't turn the ball over, a tremendous defense, and you run the ball down their throats so you can run out and control. You can control and run out the clock, right? Kind of thought maybe the kicker should have been the MVP. Woohoo! But here, I also saw some posts on Facebook. They're saying, Ben Johnson, pay attention. Seattle kicked field goals. They didn't risk it on fourth down. Go back to a previous episode where I said Chicago fans would run Ben Johnson out of town faster than he can think if he continues to risk it and the Bears lose games that they should win. So honestly, by the time I ate right at around halftime, I was conked out, dead to the world. Kept looking up. I did see Drake May throw his first touchdown pass. It was a little too late. I did see the interception that I thought maybe changed and kind of like solidified it for Seattle, but wasn't that exciting of a game. I missed most of, if not all, the commercials. In fact, I'd seen so much hoopla about the Ben Affleck Dunkin' Donuts commercial, and I'm a Dunkin' guy. And I had to see what that was all about. And I finally saw it. And, Jennifer Aniston, hey, it's my new boyfriend. How do you like these nuts? Whoa, what the? Woo. It was kind of cool. But I missed a lot of them. So that's it for the Super Bowl recap. I don't really have a skin, any kind of skin in the game. It is NFL. I am a Bears fan. If the Bears had been there, this episode would be a little bit more and a little bit better as far as the actual football goes. It's the last episode of this season. I'm going to hit you with numbers 14 through 11 of my top 20 Chicago Bears. Remember, this is my opinion. These are guys who I saw play. For whatever reason, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what they did for me as a viewer, a lover of the game, and as a player myself. So I know we've hit you up with Eric Kramer, Refrigerator Perry, Robbie Gould, and Kevin Butler, Tommy Harris, Akeem Hicks, and Mark Carrier to come in at number 15. So number 14, boop, I'm putting two guys, numbers 45 and 46 for the Chicago Bears back in the day when I was growing up as a kid, Gary Fencik and Doug Plank. Now, for me, these two guys together, they solidified that defensive backfield for the Bears early on. And it was a stepping stone and a building block in many ways, right? Doug Plank was retired by the time that the Bears won the Super Bowl. Gary Fencik was right there, okay? But Doug Plank was there too, because Buddy Ryan saw how this kid played, and he designed the defense known as the 4-6. And it wasn't named traditionally like most defenses are, like the 3-4 or the 4-3 or the 4-4 based on how many linemen on defense, down linemen you have, tackles and ends, and then how many linebackers. This defense was designed, or named, I should say, after Doug Plank, jersey number 46. a couple of hard-hitting dudes. I mean, Gary Fencik was from the Chicagoland area. What did I read? The Barrington area out there, the northwest suburbs, and that's great. Ended up going to Yale. Smart dude, great player, a safety. I'm a defensive guy. I played both ways, offense, defense, special teams growing up all throughout my entire career. But I've always been a defensive guy. When I was a coach in high school, I was a defensive coordinator. I was a defensive line coach. I mean, I also was the offensive line coach because, you know what, throw all the fat guys together and give them to one coach. But the head coach at my level was the offensive coordinator. I was the defensive coordinator. Now, I was on the freshman level, so I never developed my own defense. I always had to, teach and play what was brought down to me from the coaches above. And we played a couple of different types of defenses in the 4 or 5 years I was there. The one I really hated, and I may get into it later, but since we're transitioning into season 3 and it's baseball season, but we played like this 3-5-3 zone. And it was very complicated for the players that we had between all the shifts and the recognition. And then I just hated it. But this Buddy Ryan, the 4-6 defense, and I'm going to draw it up a little bit for you there, and we're going to pop it up there for you. And it was an absolute awesome defense because of the way guys were lined up and stacked. It was kind of like putting 8 men in the box, and you didn't know who was going to do what defensively. So it worked because it was based off of defending the traditional 2 receivers, tight end, and 2 running back pro set that a lot of teams were using back in the day. And that's why it was easy to exploit. You didn't have the trips. You didn't have the bunch formations for the receivers, so to speak, the traditional 3 wideouts on one side, or the bunch where they're all right off the tight end shoulders and you got 3 receivers right there lined up properly and you don't know which way a dude's going to go. It was susceptible to quick throws. Dan Marino beat the Bears in that one loss that they had during their 85 Super Bowl season because of the quick. But Dan Marino had a release, man. He was just like, ooh, where'd it go? Like a magician. You know what I mean? So these 2 guys, to me, as a defensive guy, a couple of hard-hitting safeties, they kind of were mainstays in those building blocks and stepping stones that got us and me to the only Super Bowl I've seen won by my team, the Chicago Bears, and it's Gary Fencik and Doug Plank. All right. So moving on to number 13. You know what? Got to get a chunky guy in there, Jimbo Covert. He's my guy. Jimbo Covert. This guy is at Pitt, and he's at Pittsburgh. He's like a defensive tackle. He starts freshman year on the defensive line, plays in every game as a freshman. He's a big honking dude right there. He's on goal line situations, right? In short yardage situations, and then he hurts his shoulder. Woo! Sidelines him for the entire 1979 season. Then he's urged by offensive line coach to kind of switch over to the offensive line, and he's a tackle on Pitt's offensive line for 3 seasons. He gives up only 3 sacks during that span. Woohoo! That's my guy, Jimbo Covert. You gotta love a guy named Jimbo. James Paul Covert. Just call me Jimbo. You know what I mean? And hey, what can I say? I was a left tackle for a period in my life too, so I like to emulate my game after a dude like that. And once I knew your tendencies and I got that footwork going, I wasn't giving up that sack, baby. No way in no hell. Because back then, I could cut you if you got a little too fast for me, and I'd cut you. Not with a blade. Just kind of take the knees out from under you. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going with another offensive lineman next, number 12 on my list, Olin Kreutz. The guy's on WSCR, The Score, which I think now maybe, I don't know if it's on 670 AM in Chicago. simulcast both on 104.3, or if it just kind of moved over to 100.3, but you can catch Olin Kreutz giving his opinion and his analysis on WSCR out of Chicago Score. He's got a son playing for the Illini. Center, you got to love a center. Center, and you got to love a center. I mean, centers are just like, yeah, for, you know, a lot of times you're helping out guards, you're doing here, doing that. But when you get a defense, you got a big fat freaking nose tackle in front of you, and you're coming out, and your assignment is like to chip off that nose tackle, but you got to get out and get up, you know, to the second level and get linebackers. I played some center. I know you're finding it hard to believe that I played center too, but I used to love setting up linebackers. I knew where I had to be, and I had to pick up those backside linebackers and boom, snap that ball. And then you get to a space, and next thing you know, you just turn, boom, and as that freaking linebacker's coming across, trailing the play, you just, bow, lay him out. Lay him out. Woot, woot. But the thing is Olin Kreutz, he plays with the Bears most of his entire career. And then 2011, he's signed by the New Orleans Saints. He's assigned by the Saints, $2 million in incentives. On a one-year, $2 million contract, he plays 4 of 6 games in 2011, and then all of a sudden, he realized he wasn't the heart. You know, the heart's got to be in it for some of these guys, especially when you're at the end of your career. And Olin Kreutz had enough of Aaron Kromer's freaking expletive tirades in the locker room, and he just had enough. And Kreutz goes out and confronts Kromer, and that leads to him shoving freaking Drew Brees against the wall. Next thing you know, Kreutz is man enough to say, I'm out. I'm done. It's time for me to go. Saints release him. He's done, but he's one of the greatest centers. Now, you might be thinking, that's Super Bowl, Jay Hilgenberg, but if I'm going to go with a center, I'm going to go with Olin Kreutz. All right? Coming in at a number 11, you'd think this guy would be top 10 or lower for me, but somebody surpassed him. Samurai Mike Singletary. This dude once hit a guy so hard at Baylor, cracked and broke his helmet. Either he broke his own helmet or he broke the Baylor dude's helmet. Either way, someone had to go get another goddamn helmet so they could finish playing that damn game. All right. He was the heart of their defense. He was a linebacker. He's in the National League Hall of Fame, coach of the 49ers for a while. He was the champion, the middle linebacker, the mainstay of Sam, Mike, and Will. He was the Mike, Samurai Mike. I'm going with him at number 11. Ooh, now this is where I'm debating. Today's show, the final show of this season, is going to be a little bit shorter. I don't know. As of right now, it might be. I may have to re-record it because I'm testing some new shit out, right? I'm further away. We got the camera zoom going. I got the lapel mic on. I'm not using headphones. And this is kind of weird for me. But again, we're transitioning into video. Check it out on YouTube, Shawn Mackey 96. Maybe someday, maybe give me some time, but maybe these hand gestures won't all be here. But I'm going to hit you with some graphics. I'm going to hit you with some statistics. I'm going to get you a new introduction for season 3 when we focus on the Cubs. I'm going to introduce you to a new contributor. There's going to be 2 of us. We're going to talk about our greatest all-time Chicago Cubs team, our greatest all-time St. Louis Cardinals team. We're going to talk about the matchups as they happen during the season. Cubs, Cardinals. He's my Cardinals guy. I'm not going to tell you who he is just yet. But I was debating whether or not I was going to hit you and go down all the way to number 10. But I think I'm going to throw a bonus episode up in between starting season 3. And that's where I'm going to hit you with my top 10 of my greatest top 20 Chicago Bears. I'm Shawn Mackey. This is my show. I'll see you when I see you. Peace.
Hey, if I made you laugh, made you think, or even made you smile, please tell all your friends. If I didn't, just keep that shit to yourself. Thanks for listening to The Shawn Mackey Show.